G'day legends, I hope that you're having a fantastic day and a fantastic start to your week. Now you will see that the quality of some of these videos will be reduced a little bit, and I do pride myself on having high quality video and audio, but I am on location at the moment. I am in northern Israel, only a few kilometers from the Lebanon border. In case something kicks off there, then I'll be in location. So bear with me as much as then I guess you're willing to do. But today, what are we going to talk about? We need to have a look at the maps and have a look at some interesting changes that are occurring in different spots. We also need to talk about a Russian intelligence operation, or at least a counter-intelligence operation, that they've said they've foiled then a Ukrainian and NATO intelligence operation too. So we will talk about that and other ops very similar to this that have occurred successfully in the past. But what we need to talk about first off is the huge missile attacks from Russia that have come into Ukraine, specifically into Kyiv, and have had devastating consequences, with many then strikes and missiles not being intercepted. Now, there's a few things that are funny and weird about this. Firstly, it's at a weird time. It was in daytime, clearly visible. Most of the time, these come in at night. And I believe this could be something to send a message of, look, we can still get these through, because it's impossible to ignore. Everyone's awake, people have their phones out, and very quickly videos, photos then arrive online. What we don't get in a lot of other strikes into Kyiv, we can't confirm if they've been hit or intercepted or whatever. But it also does show too a definite shortage of interceptors, because the majority of these, and I believe actually more than is being said, have got through. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about what has been hit and some interesting bits that have been hit too. Now, let's just start with some photos. So we have some photos like this looking over Kyiv, and you can see there's been multiple strikes then in Kyiv itself. Now let's have a look at this. NOAA reports, Ukrainian account is saying that 3 or 4 KH-101s were intercepted and 0 of the Iskander-M. That said, I believe that more of those, because people are saying it's more like 5, 6, 7, 8, have actually hit than this. But that is from what he is saying there. We have another then video here looking around, and I believe you actually see one of the, yes, you see one of the strikes then hit here, and then a third one. So Kyiv got absolutely rocked today. I was going to say overnight, because typically these then are overnight. We'll talk about what has been hit in a second, and we'll look at then what Zelensky has also said. So remember, Kyiv will be one of the areas with the most amount of air defense. We have seen Russia have a lot of success dismantling some of Ukraine's air defense. They've claimed a lot, but we have seen some footage of this too, as well as Ukraine has had a shortage of interceptors and systems that has been for the entire war, and we see Ukraine more and more saying this, and as we see more of these, of course, then seeping through and then getting through. Now, there's a lot of footage coming out of a strike against a children's hospital. So let's have a look then. Actually, no, I want to say this off the bat first. This is from a pro-Ukrainian account. Idiots in Kyiv posting videos of BDA, so battle damage assessment. Both public and Russians can conclude that this most likely a successful strike and intended target by the Russians. Citizens of Ukraine stop posting stuff of Russian attacks. The reason people don't want that being posted, it's really twofold. One is so Russia can see if it hit or not. That said, Russia and China, who are sharing information, have satellites, and like he said here, Russia will have assets on the ground for BDA as well. We can assume that as well, but also for then the informational war that comes out if something is hit that is then a target and has been destroyed. Now, like I said, then it has been a children's hospital hit. That this children's hospital in Kyiv is from Zelensky, one of the most important children's hospital, not in Ukraine, but also in Europe. It's been saving and restoring health of thousands of children. Hospital being damaged by a Russian strike, and there are people we know buried under the rubble. Now, what I will say with this, and I'm about to get a hell of a lot of hate, and this is a horrible thing. I'm not pointing out, I'm not excusing anything. It's a horrible thing. But with a strike like this, I add the same principle as we added with the ATACMS cluster munition strike over a civilian beach in Crimea. There is no purpose, no gain to be had using a multi-million-dollar rocket on civilian targets. It has a net negative effect overall, one that will have no effect on the war effort. And of course, in the informational age we live in, a massive backfire there as well. So you can come to your own conclusions whether it's intentional or not. What the effect is still the same. It's a horrible thing. War in general is a horrible thing, but that is the principle that I add to when we see strikes like this occur. And of course, that is the strike that everyone's talking about. But we need to look at too a strike and a building that I found very interesting here. So we see then this strike, and I'll show you a little bit of footage here as well, but just take note of then this building, and we have a video of this building then here. So we see this big glass building, and there's like a tall building just behind it, and then we look down the road and we see a destroyed building just here as well. You're looking where the cursor is, right? And then back to this one, as well as this higher part here, then destroyed. Now, I did a bit of digging to look at what exactly this building is. Now, this is the Artem, who is a state joint stock holding company, a Ukrainian manufacturer of air-to-air guided missiles, automated systems and preparation maintenance for air-guided weapons, anti-tank guided missiles as instruments and equipment for aircraft. Now, if we have a look up where, I've got Artem written in here, Artem Defense Company on Google Maps, brings us into then Kyiv. Now, let's click on Artem manufacturer. This will load, so we're talking just here. Let's grab then our little man, chuck him dead on the road. Sorry, I'm working off just cellular data at the moment because there's no Wi-Fi here. Right, here we see a couple of things then adding up. So this building here, if it will load, just give you an idea while this loads, I'll come back to this. This is the building. Right, it's loaded in the background, so we're looking for this glass building, the building that's been destroyed here, as well as this high building that has taken a lot of damage too. Now, Artem Defense Company, let's load this again. So it'll take us straight, oh, goddamn. So we click on this, let's have a look at some photographs of this. So this is the building here. This was taken in 21, and then we skip forward. This is said to the building in then. And then we see then this building here inside, and then 23, and we get a better one, I believe, at 2021 here. Okay, get an idea. Let's look at this glass building and this then building here. And in my eye, this lines up with where then this has been struck, as well as this glass building here. And some are saying that this is one part of it and then this is a second. I'm not 100% sure on this part, but there does look to be some destruction on this building here. And like we then said, by Artem Holding Company for air-guided AT missiles there out of Ukraine. So having a look in, and that's, you know, part of that battle damage assessment is guys like me online can then have a look and go, right, what has then been hit there? So huge attacks, multiple missiles got through, and there's been absolute devastation on the ground in Kyiv, and it has shown that the air defense is not intercepting the majority of what it seems has come in, and of course this will give Russia the idea, okay, we can then fire more in if the air defense isn't too active there. Now, the FSB, Russia's state, it's a security service. You've got multiple in Russia. You've got FSB is more domestic, then you've got SVR, works outside, and you've got some others. We've even seen like SMERSH pop back up, which is like death to spies thing, old like World War II thing. We've seen that. We've seen patches on guys at least with that. We're not sure exactly how official, if it's back or not. But this is actually off their FSB's website. They've got a website. Thwarts another attempt by Ukrainian special services to hijack a plane. Now, we have seen that a Russian pilot has flown a helicopter across into Ukraine, landed, he got his colleagues killed. He was then given a reward, I believe it was $1 million reward, I think, something like that, a lot of money, don't quote me on the $1 million. And then he was given like refuge and safety. And then he was actually then killed in Europe as well, I believe in a car park. Anyway, and that was part of a Ukrainian intel op, but then he got killed at the end anyway. The Federal Security Service, FSB, of the Russian Federation has thwarted yet another attempt by Ukrainian Special Services to carry out an operation to hijack a long-range strategic bomber, a Tu-22M3. That's the newest variant, or newest upgrade at least, of the aerospace forces abroad, with the involvement of NATO Special Services in its preparation and implementation has been revealed. Ukrainian intelligence intended to recruit a Russian military pilot for monetary compensation, some are saying $2 million USD, and the provision of an Italian citizenship, and persuade him to carry out the flight and land a missile carrier in Ukraine. Now, it sounds like this pilot was sort of playing along with the game. During the operational game, Russian counterintelligence agents received information that helped our armed forces to inflict fire damage on the Ukrainian armed forces airfield here. So what the backstory to this is, and what I'm reading, is the pilot sort of notified the FSB and was getting information of, right, where will I land, what assets, where would your air defense assets be for me to miss this and that to go through. He then, I guess, snitched and then gave a lot of information to the Russian forces to then have their fire damages come in. And there's a whole back game of intel ops happening in this war. I've had a video on the back burner for about 6 weeks, specifically about intelligence operations in this war and relating to this war abroad. I just haven't found time yet to then do it. Now, let's have a look at the maps. And I've got something interesting that one of my followers put together. So here is Ukraine, the capital of Kyiv, where those strikes in the children's hospital was hit. The red areas have been occupied since 2022, the purple since 14, and the green areas where Russia has been and has either been pushed out or has withdrawn. Now, we talk a lot, the maps we really look at deep state maps, Syriac maps, War Mapper, NOEL reports. Now, NOEL reports has no maps today, and War Mapper, I always say, we use them occasionally, but I do say it's very, very conservative on any Russian game. Now, someone has actually then put this together. Now, I can't remember who, but thank you. I'll put credit in the next video if you reach out to me, about what the difference in War Mapper shows and Deep State through the years. And this confirms, showing then the differences and the conservative towards the Russian gains. Now, there should be some minuses in some areas on this that are wrong in this graph, but for the sake of it, it'll be okay. So, showing that in 2022, you can see then the differences of War Mapper of how much Ukraine lost compared to then Deep State, Ukraine's own map as well. Now, War Mapper in 23 showed a positive gain of 20 square Ks, where Deep State showed a negative gain of 191. Now, in 2024, now this is the most interesting for what we're looking at, is these should be minuses over this column, by the way, and this should be a minus here. I confirmed that with them. Anyway, War Mapper shows that Ukraine has lost this year 563 squared Ks, and Deep State is 795.3. So you can see exactly what I'm meaning. It's confirming what I say when I say that. I'm not trying to take the piss out of anyone. I'm not trying to discredit anyone's work. I'm just saying my observation has been confirmed through those numbers then as well. Now, I thought this was very interesting, this footage here. I believe this is Brady Afric. Yes, it is. Now, you have a look at then all the farms here. You can see the paddocks, tree lines, whatever, before the invasion. And then we see then after the invasion, this is then where the front line is, sort of your no man's land, or the soldiers' land in here, between where the farms are, and that this land has had no farming and all this happen. And of course, this whole area will just be littered with UXO, unexploded ordnance, landmines, all of this. You can see Russian occupied, Ukraine occupied. And of course, this has a huge agricultural effect, not only for Ukraine's economy, but outside of Ukraine, where that is exported as well. And this area denial filled with UXO and mines will have an effect for decades, if not more than a century to come. But it's interesting to see that you can see this now from space. Now let's have a look back on the maps. Now, no changes shown up in Vovchansk-Lipsy front, but it is said that Ukraine is trying to push down in here and flank around on the Russians here. I'm not exactly sure of what their plan is, but you have this reservoir here acting as a natural barrier, so there can't be, you're not going to come this way as the Russians and then swim across, although some people may think that's a realistic option. It's not in war. So there is a flanker being done through Holoboka as well, as we've seen Ukraine move and confirmed up through there. Now, no changes shown here in Vovchansk. Now, let's come up here. We have then Sinkivka front. This is really slow to load. I do apologize. Now, we'll just at least get an idea of where we're looking. This is confirmed by Syriac map in then the same location here, that Russian army made small advances south of Vilshana in positional battle. So Russia has had some advancement there, shown then by multiple different maps. Again, I'm working on cellular service, so this is slow. I do apologize. We saw this spire push out the other day. I'm calling this sort of the Tabayevka spire. And I did say at the time, I said that Deep State is showing more ground than even Syriac is showing. Syriac has now then updated his own map to then show almost the exact same here. Then two sources confirming then this advancement there as well. Now, I just want to move down until we see Makivka as well, if this will load. Here we go. So we look at Makivka, these two axes coming out here. Now, so this is what I meant, the apologies in the beginning about then the quality dropping. So we then see this second spire here coming out into Makivka itself. You can see where the road runs through here. So very, very similar area, and Syriac has updated his map, although he's showing just a little bit more, maybe filling in some of these paddocks, but for the sake of what it is, very, very close on the maps. Again, these areas, it's just confirming where things did move or did not move. Now we'll continue moving down the map. Nothing through Kremenar, Belhorivka, across Rozdilivka, nothing. Bakhmut, no changes then shown today. We know this is an axis where Russia is pushing very hard. There's a hell of a lot of fighting. Now we'll come down Avdiivka front. We see just a very, very small movement here at the Yevneivka. So near Prohez, just out filling that gap. What we did see yesterday was, of course, or the last few days, was this movement down here by the Russian forces, of course, putting pressure down to the south. And now we see just this area here filling out as well. That push, expand, similar to what we're seeing in then New York. Let's have a look on and Syriac's map. I believe I said yesterday as well, Syriac showed less here than the Deep State did as well. Yes, I must have been correct, because see this reservoir, this is said reservoir, and it's showing this same push just here. This is the same push. This red dot is then this town, as well as this expansion through this paddock there. Beautiful. We know that confirmed that advancement in here. Now we're just going to come north of here, New York, Toretsk front. Now no change on this map here, but we do see some change then on the Syriac map moving through. Now this will move very slow, as we know. As soon as you enter an urban area, things really start to slow down. But just look at where this road comes. This is the same curve. It's showing where this is shown as grey zone. He's showing as red on this map. So, oh no, what have I done? Oh, so you can see where that small expansion was there. Oh no, I shouldn't have hit it. Okay, so you can see sort of where that grey zone shifted, so bit of movement there, as just a little bit up near Druzhba as well, still showing a lot further down this road than Deep State is showing. Russian army continues to make advancement. This is the Sadova Street of Druzhba, that's this area. Russian force advance in Pivzheny, taking new high-rise buildings and houses along Nova Street until reaching the intersection at this street. On the other hand, the capture of this settlement was announced. The settlement based east of Pevdeni. There was partially under control of the DPR militias and later the Russian army, while the other part remained in no man's land. The latest breakthroughs sector front allowed the western part of to close 2014 defensive lines of the Ukrainian army. So this is just down in this part right here. So just down in here. Like we've said, any of these lines that have been held since 2014, falling is very, very important to the overall strategic element of what we're looking at in this war. And this is an area I believe we really need to keep an eye on. This is very, very important area if it can close up and shorten the front line into Konstantinivka, Kramatorsk, Sloviansk, these major centers then in the Donbass. So keep pushing down just a little bit, and we do see just a little change. This is Krasnohivka right here, if it will load, and then we get this being confirmed. Exact same spot by Syriac maps. Wonderful. We can confirm that movement. Now, no other changes shown then on the Deep State, but we pull up then the Robotny Syriac map. Now, you can just get an idea straight off the bat how different then these are looking. This Robotny here by this red dot. This is where this road turns. So this is the road that Syriac is showing really roughly something more like that here, but he's showing that just where this road is, just up in here, that there's been, ooh, where are we looking? Sorry, I'm just trying to line then myself up. these two paddocks. So just up in here, he's saying that there has been an advancement by then the Russian forces as well. So just worth keeping an eye on this Robotny front. I'd be interested to see when and if this map updates in this area, what exactly then is occurring. So you can remember where we saw that those Russian soldiers, well, the Russian at least shot, we're unsure if he's taken POW or not, that was right up here. So there is confirmed geolocated footage of Russians in this area. Were they with Ukrainians and he was a POW? Is he getting pulled out by Russians? Oh, we don't know exactly, but we know that there's presence up in here. But legends, that is then all I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Look after yourself, and I will speak to you hopefully tomorrow. Sorry this one's out a little bit later than usual. Thank you. Bye-bye.